Welcome to the GTP. My name is Scott and I have for you a 75 plus manga haul for the month of February. As they say, love is in the air in February, and indeed it was with this haul. So let's go ahead and check out what I got for this month. First, let's go ahead and check out ongoing or missing titles that I received from Viz Media. And the first was a huge stack of a series of Yona of the Dawn. So I got almost the entire series from Takara. They had a great winter sale for the series. I'm only missing one volume for the series, and then we can start it. What's that one volume? Well, of course, it's volume 1. So even though we have all 37, 38 volumes, because we don't have volume 1, we cannot start the series yet. My daughters can't start the series, so hopefully that will come in. I saw on a future order from, or shipping from Takara, it should be shipping hopefully next week. So that will be in my March haul. I'll let you know what I think of the series, what my daughters think, but I'm so happy that finally, after all this time, I've written my wrongs. When I ordered Yona the Dawn during the Right Stuff anime winter sale 2 years ago, and then for some reason I chose to cancel it. Don't know why, but now I'm so happy that I picked up the series, not only for me, but something that my daughters can enjoy as well. So that, as you can see here, is all the volumes we got of Yona of the Dawn. Next up from Viz Media, I got a manga volume that I have been waiting almost 2 years, and that series is now fully complete. It's on hiatus, but it's complete now, and that is Nana Volume 12. I'm so happy I can go ahead and I can start reading this wonderful shoujo series that so many people have talked about for so long. Even though it's on a hiatus, I hope someday the author's help can get better, and at least we'll get some kind of ending for the series. Next up from Viz Media, I got Dr. Stone Volume 24. I'm really looking forward to the ending of this series. There's 2 volumes left that should be coming physically out this year. It does feel the ending is a little rushed compared to the volumes in the beginning, but that's okay. I'm still enjoying the journey, and I'm looking forward to finding out how the story ends. It's also one that my oldest daughter, who's 11, has enjoyed as well. So that's Dr. Stone. Next is Dan to Dan Volume 2. Now, I have a confession. I read Volume 1 and I didn't really like it, but Volume 2 definitely made up for the errors and ways of Volume 1, and I really enjoyed this volume. So I'm looking forward to continuing this series. I'm sure you've heard it before, but I have a 5-volume manga rule. So by the 5th volume, if I'm still not feeling it, I'll drop the series. I know many people have a 3-volume rule, but I like to just be able to give it another excuse to let that manga breathe. And I felt so much better with the 2nd volume that now I'm looking forward to the 3rd volume when it comes out in just a few months. Next up, I got Beyond Journey End, and I believe this was the first volume of this entire haul that I picked up and I read immediately. Highly recommend this series. As you're following this girl as she was part of this party that saved the world over 50 years ago, and now you're seeing as she has lived on as an elf, the rest of her party being a human or a dwarf, they don't live as long, so she remembers what happens, but the world around her has changed so much. Some people barely even remember the hero and what they did for the world. So it has just been a phenomenal series as you're seeing her reflect back on her past actions, as well as realizing not to take life for granted. There's action, fantasy, adventure. This is one of the best series that's currently out by Viz. Next up, I'm excited to show you a series that I have been waiting almost 2 years for. Now, this series was from my oldest order from Right Stuff Anime, and that is World Trigger. I got Volume 2 and I got Volume 5. This is now complete. The reason why I picked up World Trigger so long ago is when they came out with Japan's top most popular manga of all time, World Trigger made, I believe, the number 15 on that list about 2 years ago, and they said it has one of the best manga battle arcs, period. So because of that, I was excited. I ordered the series, but after waiting so long, I finally got it. So I'm looking forward to reading World Trigger. It's now has moved up more on the front of my list, just because I feel bad that I've had all these volumes for over 2 years almost and haven't read it yet. So that, my friends, is World Trigger. Next up, I completed another series, and that is D Gray Man with Volume 2, Volume 3, and Volume 12. I now have the entire series. It is complete. So this is another Viz series. It's a little more darker tone. I can go ahead and I can start. It's an oldie but a goodie, and they still have new volumes are coming out, but they're a lot less frequent. Usually I think we get 1 or 2 volumes a year now. I believe the manga moved to a month to month, but it's another series that I'm looking forward to. I can finally check out for the first time. I am so happy that Viz Media is just knocking out of the park with reprint after reprint after reprint, as you saw with Nana, World Trigger, and now with D Gray Man. Next up from Viz, I got a single volume of Snow White and the Red Hair, volume 23. This is the latest volume. I'm still missing quite a bit of the series. Hopefully, I believe I should have the majority series. I think it's going to ship next week. It's also on that Takara. They had almost the entire series on clearance at their winter sale. So I picked up that series. This is another series for my daughters. So, you know, if they're going to get sucked into a series, you got to have the newest volume as well. So this is volume 23 of Snow White and the Red Hair. Next up, I got Black Clover, volume 31. I have been loving this arc. This is a series where I actually broke my 5-volume rule, as I didn't really enjoy the series until I got to volume 6 and 7. And after that volume 7, it just clicked. It's a phenomenal series. If you dropped it, I highly recommend picking it back up. It's a great fantasy series. It ends up really standing on its very own, and it's just been a phenomenal series that literally does get better and better as it progresses. Where some series you get some lulls in between, or like, oh, this arc's good or this one's bad, but I just feel like each arc on Black Clover has topped itself each time. So looking forward to continuing. I think there's 2 more volumes, and I think it ends in 34 of this current arc. So there you have it, Black Clover. Next up, I got Kaiju number 8, volume 5. This is a series that I thoroughly enjoyed. It's probably one of my favorite series that came out in, I think, December 2021 it came out. But this series, you follow this guy who has this dream of working alongside his best friend someday, and she's just crushing it in the world when it comes to taking down monsters. Unfortunately, the best he can do is sanitation. It was just hilarious, the idea of, you know, someone does have to clean up the monster mess after, you know, the heroes come and save the day. Someone has to do the cleanup. So it's been a great series, seeing him follow his dream, seeing him maybe turn into a kaiju himself. But you'll see, if you haven't checked out, highly recommend Kaiju number 8. Next up, I got Sakamoto Days volume 5. If you saw my top 10 favorite manga that came out last year, this made that list. This has just been such a fun series, as you're seeing the store clerk who used to be an assassin kind of get pulled back into that ring every now and then. There's comedy, there's action, it's lighthearted. It's just been a great series that I've enjoyed. My 11-year-old daughter has been enjoying it as well. So that's Sakamoto Days. Next up is a series I highly recommend checking out, and that is Call of the Night. It's a vampire series of love, self-discovery, and actually, if you click the eye on the right-hand corner, you can see my most recent review I highly recommend checking out of this manga series, Call of the Night, where I'll actually give you my GTP rating on a scale of 1 to 10. What actually I think of the series itself, but small spoiler, you should definitely check it out if you like vampire type manga. Next up I got is The Elusive Samurai volume 3 and volume 4. This series also made my top 10 of best manga to come out from last year. It has some action, it's pretty funny, I appreciate the military tactics in it, and it's just wholesome as you're following this boy who's lost his entire kingdom and now he's trying to gain it back. And how do you gain those skills? How do you gain companions and camaraderie, be able to help them together? So it's just been a fun series that I've thoroughly enjoyed with only the first 4 volumes, and I'm looking forward as more come out. If you haven't checked out, highly recommend The Elusive Samurai. Next up, I got Mashle volume 10, and this is a Harry Potter meets One Punch Man mashup type of series. So if you're looking for something with some comedy and action, as well as kind of making fun of some familiar tropes, this is one you're going to want to check out. Next, I got Love is War volume 24. I believe the series is towards its ending right now. I think there's 27 volumes total. This series, you're seeing this couple, well, they're not really a couple yet, but playing games with each other with this mind match, almost like Death Note without the killing, as you're seeing just these different schemes coming on through the mind. So it's a very interesting series. If you haven't checked out, this is one you're going to want to check, is Love is War. Next, another series I picked up is Queen's Quality, Volume 16. This is the latest volume. This is a series I actually also picked up for my daughters. The reason why I haven't started the series, they haven't been able to start the series yet, is we're waiting for Volume 2. Got it quite a while ago, so hopefully Volume 2 will be reprinted this year, as well as I'm missing QQ Sweeper, which is a prequel. I'm missing Volume 1. So once I get Volume 1 of QQ Sweeper, the prequel, Volume 2, which, I mean, if they're printing the new volumes, they should reprint the other ones fairly soon. So that is Queen's Quality. I'd love to tell you more, but because I haven't read those volumes, I don't know as much as I wish I should. Next up, I got the last volume I needed, Kuroki's Basketball, this lovely 2-in-1. The whole series was recently reprinted. I've been really into sports manga lately, as there's so many with Blue Box, Blue Lock, Slam Dunk. I've really enjoyed what I've read lately, and I wanted to get more of them. So because this was recently reprinted, I was like, why not? And I'm so glad that I now have the last volume so I can go ahead and start this series. And the last volume I got from ongoing or missing Viz Media titles is The Record of Ragnarok Volume 5. This is a just pure battle manga. There is a story attached to it, but it's been so entertaining. I did not like the first volume. Second volume's okay, and by the third volume it clicked, and I'm very much enjoying the series. This is a series you kind of want to, leave your brain at the door and go ahead and just open it and enjoy it. So I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've read so far. I cannot wait for this to continue and read this wonderful battle manga. If you're looking just for something with action and fighting, you'll want to check out Record of Ragnarok. Let's go ahead and now check out ongoing or missing titles from Yen Press. And the first one I got is a certain Magical Index Volume 26. Now the light novel is completely done. I'm not sure how many more it's going to take of the manga itself, but this is a series that I wanted for a really long time, and recently I got the missing volumes I needed. I was like, if I'm going to read the series, let's go and get the new one. So this series, it's also in the same universe connected with a certain scientific railgun. I just recently got all of that series. So I'd love to do a video connecting the different mangas as well as the spin-offs for this series and be able to share my thoughts with you. So that's why I went and I ended up picking up this volume as well. Next, I picked up the missing volumes I needed for Re:Zero. Now, Re:Zero is an isekai manga. It's actually one of the more popular isekai stories out there, and I like isekai manga. From that time I got reincarnated as slime, now Re:Zero, Emmett's in Shadow. I love that genre. I have thoroughly also enjoyed Overlord, so it's just fun, this idea that what would happen if you when you died, if you re-woke up in this magical world. I really enjoy RPG tropes, as I played a lot of Japanese RPGs when I was a kid. So because of that, I wanted to pick up Re:Zero, and now because I have the rest of the volumes, thanks to Takara Cafe, I'm looking forward to go ahead and starting this one as well. Next up, I got the last volume I needed in Bongo Stray Dogs Volume 4 for the Beast spin-off series. And man, this is a thick volume. Baby got back with this one. Now, I recently completed getting the missing volumes needed for Bongo Stray Dogs. Now we're finished with this spin-off series, so it's a series I'm looking forward to go ahead and grabbing soon. Next, I got Kowloon Generic Romance Volume 2. This is a series I did not enjoy Volume 1 too much, but I actually thought Volume 2 wasn't that bad. It wasn't as weird. I think it's interesting. It says parental discretion advised, but there wasn't really anything I thought was too over the top in this volume to feel it needed parental discretion advised, let alone be completely wrapped. When I opened it, I'm like, uh-oh. I was like, didn't want to read this near the kids, and I was like, oh, this is not that bad. Volume 1, definitely parental discretion advised. There's some things that was just a little iffy, and I wasn't really feeling it, but this volume was much better. I'm not as on the fence. Hopefully after the third volume I'll know for sure, even though I had that 5-volume rule, but this series is starting to grow on me as it continues. So if you're looking for another just type of romance series as has some mystery elements to it, and just some more adults having to deal with adult situations. If you're tired of just seeing, you know, all the high school drama, if you're looking for one more of adult drama, this is a series you might want to check out. And last, from Ongoing or Missing from Yen Press, I got the latest volume 21 of Yaomushi Pedal. If you've seen just a couple videos ago in my hauls, I recently got the entire series, the ones I was missing, especially volume 3, which was so elusive. So because of that, I already had this on pre-order. So this is just a bicycle racing manga. You've already heard how much I enjoy sports manga already, so this is another one I had to go ahead and pick up. Now, let's go ahead and check out Ongoing or Missing series I received from KODANSHA. And the first one I picked up was Noragami, volume 24. Now, they recently announced that the 27th volume is going to be the last volume for this series. And if it's a series you've been on the fence, I highly recommend they're now reprinting these in omnibus form. So I already have all the singles, or I would be getting the omnibuses right now, so that's another great way to get the series at a cheaper price if this is one you've been wanting to check out. You're following this guy who he's a god of a shrine, but he's very poor. People don't really remember him. He's kind of a punk, but from the first couple volumes I read, it actually wasn't that bad. So I continue to look forward to it, and now with knowing it's coming to an end, it's one I want to go ahead and pick back up. Next, from KODANSHA, I picked up Eden Zero, volume 20. This is by the same manga creator as Rave Master and Fairy Tail. This one's a little shorter, as I heard it's now coming on to its last arc. This has more of a sci-fi theme. So far I've enjoyed what I've read of the story, as well as from what the anime itself is fairly good as well. So that is Eden Zero. Next I got was Blood on the Tracks, volume 12, and oh my, this volume alone was a lot. It's one of those, this is one of the few series that after you read the volume, instead of grabbing a different manga, you're like, I need to reread this again. It's a great series. The volume before that was a little weird, but it picks back up in volume 12. I cannot imagine why I now want to get 13 as soon as possible. This made my top 10 series of all time, and it's just continued in spades as just the horror of dealing with someone who's a manipulative, and just what that has to someone's psyche. This has just been a phenomenal series. The few words that are on this page are words I've heard verbatim from different people. It's just, the author has done such a good job. Just, you can feel the weight as you turn the pages of Blood on the Tracks. Now I'm going to show you my favorite manga that I probably got from this entire haul. If I remember correctly, this did make my number one of manga series that came out last year, and that is Blue Lock. I love this series. I didn't really care about soccer, but now I do, just because of this manga. It's like a battle royale manga, except for it's with soccer and sports. It's so good. The writing, the characters, it's phenomenal. There's over 20 volumes in Japan. We're only on volume 4 of the physical. I'm so glad that this came out of KODANSHA jail and we're now seeing these physical. I love owning them. I already want to get volume 5. I know it just came out. Crossing my fingers that Takara will be very kind to partial ship that, as I made the mistake of ordering another volume manga that got pushed out 2 months. So hopefully I can please the Takara gods and they will go ahead and send that partial order, and we can worry about that other manga later. But man, Blue Lock, highly recommend checking out. Unfortunately not for kids, just because of the language. If it didn't have that language, I would let my kids read the series, but unfortunately, because they do drop some F-bombs here and there, I was like, oh man, it's just because that's not for kids. But this is such a great manga series. Next, I got a series that is very near and dear to my heart. It's in my top 10 of best series of all time. We only get one volume out a year, but that's okay, and that is Vinland Saga Volume 13. Now, it's nice with KODANSHA, they do send these in hardcover. This has just been a phenomenal journey of a series. If you're on the fence of Vinland Saga, highly recommend checking out the anime. The season 1 is just so incredible. I think it does it better in the books, but I have thoroughly enjoyed Vinland Saga, and it's just been neat that the story now is nowhere where I thought it was going, and yet I'm so happy for the journey so far. It'll probably be January sometime next year we'll get the next one, but highly recommend, if you've been on the fence, check out Vinland saga. Next up from Kodansha, I got Mangas in the Library Volume 6. Another YouTuber was recommending this series. I now have all the volumes except Volume 1. I did order Volume 1 on the Takara clearance winter sale. I'm crossing my fingers that that volume is found. That will hopefully ship next week, and I can go ahead and get this beautiful series, and I can tell you more about it in my next manga haul, what I think of this series itself. And last from Kodansha, I got Attack on Titan, the Colossal Edition Volume 7. This is beastly. You might want to say colossal. Colossal indeed. Baby got more than back for this. Baby got colossal back. But I'm so happy for this. I now have the entire Attack on Titan series. The anime is just phenomenal. I got so sucked in the anime. I could not wait for the next season, the final season to come out. So because of that, I wanted to get the manga so I can read through it, because I love the series so much. It's been such a phenomenal ride. I know some people were angry with how we're headed in direction later on, but you know, I still enjoyed the journey, even though I was frustrated as well. But I'm so happy to now have complete all of Attack on Titan. Next up, let's check out what I got from smaller publishers for ongoing or missing. And then first is from 7 Seas, and this is Ancient Mangas of the Bride. I got 3 more volumes of this series that I was missing. I almost have all the volumes that I need to go ahead and start the series. I think volume 3 is one of the ones that I'm missing right now. Now, I heard this series, if you like Witch Hat Atelier Witch, is now one of my favorite series of all time. They say you're going to want to check out this manga. So because of that, I got this on a great sale, this series. I'm just waiting for a couple more volumes so I can go ahead and start. And I'm looking forward. I really want to tell you my take to say, hey, if you like Witch Hat Atelier, is this a manga you want to check out as well? Up next from 7 Seas, I got 2 more volumes of, I'm sorry if I'm butchering, but Kimono Jihen, Volume 2. As Volume 3, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that correctly. I do apologize. This series, I read Volume 2 and I still wasn't feeling the series, and I didn't know if it's one I wanted to continue. But then Volume 3 came around, dazzled me enough where I'm like, oh, I think I get it. And I want to continue the series. It's a series where this monster hunter sort of detective agency, you're battling these people that can turn into different beasts. I'm very interested in seeing how this story continues so far, but I think I get it. And with that 3rd volume, I'm now looking forward to reading Volume 4 to see if the story continues to pick up and if this is one that's worth checking out. Next from 7 Seas, I got A Certain Scientific Railgun Volume 17. Just like A Certain Magical Index Volume 26, I picked up this volume for the same reasons, as I want to tell you what I think of the overarching series altogether. So that's why I went ahead and picked up the newest volume of this series. And last from smaller publishers by Square Enix, and this is High Score Girl Volume 10. This is the last volume of the series. It is now complete. Because I now have all 10 volumes, I will be reading this story soon to find out more, to be able to tell you what I think of this series. As you're seeing this boy and this girl, their dynamics. Here's this boy who did really good in the arcade, and then this girl comes around and does even better than him. So this is a series that was highly recommended to me by several people. So now since Volume 10 came out, I'm looking forward to binging through the series and sharing my thoughts with you. Now let's go ahead and check out New to Me series from Yen Press. And the first one is Oshinoko Volume 1. This is phenomenal. It was a little weird, I'll be honest. The first chapter, so I was like, where is the story taking me? Do I even want to keep reading it? And yes, I did. It was so good. This may make my best new series to come out for 2023. By the end of the series, I was sucked in. I cannot wait for the 2nd volume. It's a bummer it's not going to be till May. If you've been on the fence, check out this series. I don't even want to spoil it. I feel wrong if I tell you more about the story. It's just one, pick it up, read the whole thing. You might be in the first couple pages like, what the heck was Scott saying? But by the end, I believe you'll be just as hooked I was on Oshinoko Volume 1. Next from Yen Press, I got another new series, and that is Honey Lemon Soda. This one I wasn't feeling as much. Now, my daughter who's 11 did enjoy reading this series. You're following this girl that's pretty shy, bit of an outcast, and one day she bumps into this boy in high school that has this lemon hair, and he spills his lemon soda all over her. Or lemonade, I guess, for soda. He's kind of this guy who's kind of taken her under her wing. He's very kind to her. It's hard for me following these series where the girl has no self-confidence and this guy has to kind of come in and get her out of her shell, and you find out that she's just the greatest girl ever, and just need about her shell and not be shy. So it's not really my type of romantic series. I'm gonna keep going to see how the next couple of volumes goes. I know a lot of people love Honey Lemon Soda, but I'll be honest, for myself, this first volume was a bit rough. Next up, I picked up Tomb Raider King, which is actually from Eyes Press, which is a subdivision of Yen Press. Now, if you like solo leveling, this is going to satisfy you until we get the next volume. This is very much like a solo leveling type of story. Now, Tomb Raider King, you follow this guy who somehow he travels back in the past, but he has some of his skill, and now he remembers and knows everything. It can now get a head start as his life just wasn't going very well. So I thoroughly enjoyed this. It has a lot of the same pops-ups like solo leveling, where he's gaining more skills and ability. I love solo leveling. It's one of my favorite series that's currently out, and I've been bummed out how long it's taking to read the next volume. I think it's coming out late March. So because of that, I was very happy to read Tomb Raider King to go ahead and satisfy until we can get solo leveling. Highly recommend checking out this series. Next, from Eyes Press as well, from the same subdivision of Yen Press, I got The World After the Fall. Now this one had kind of similar vibes of like solo leveling, but very different. Is you're following this guy as he goes through this mysterious tower, and eventually he is the first one to the top. Now after that, you get to find out what is above the tower, what's after the tower. I'm very looking forward to. It's caught my attention enough to want to keep on going. I didn't think it was as good as Tomb Raider King. It wasn't as good as solo leveling, but I'm intrigued enough on the mystery itself to want to keep reading The World After the Fall. So it's another one I would highly recommend checking out if you're looking for another one to fill your time until we get the next solo leveling. And next up I got is The Boxer. Now The Boxer, the first volume to me was just okay. I'm sensing a theme with some of these stories that you start off with these people that are overpowered and they just continue to get overpowered. They don't really necessarily have hardship yet. And with The Boxer, even though it was interesting how it went, the first volume, I was bummed that you're seeing this guy who's going to be this boxer protege who may just be the best ever. So I'm hoping to see some of that hardship behind the ring, as well as hardship where he struggles on the ring itself, and you can see him as he progresses instead of just being the best to begin with. But so first volume was okay, but I'm going to go ahead and continue the series, as I've heard a lot of people do love The Boxer and they say it is so good. So because I'm going to keep reading, even though the first volume didn't hit me as quite as, or a punch as I would have liked. And last, from Yen Press, from the Eyes subdivision, is The Villain is Destined to Die. Now this story, I was actually at the Yen Press panel when they announced this new series, and the crowd went wild over this series more than anyone else. And now I understand why. As you're following this girl who gets trapped in this game as the villain, and she's now trying to somehow survive and make people like her. And you get to see that, oh, maybe the villain has had some hardship too. Maybe there's a reason why they act out the way that they do. And so you kind of almost start feeling bad for the villain itself. So far, I'm enjoying the story. It didn't quite grab me as much as Tomb Raider King, but I did enjoy the first volume of Villain is Destined to Die, and I'm looking forward to the second volume. I think it just came out, so as soon as I get that volume, I'll tell you if you should continue the series. Let's check out now the last series I got, and this is actually from KODANSHA that's new to me, and that is The Witch and the Beast. Now, first volume here, it is a little damaged. Luckily, Takara Cafe was very kind, where they're going to immediately said they'll replace the volume. So if you're on the fence on Takara Cafe, all the volumes I've received, I've gotten over 200 manga from them so far. Nothing's ever come damaged. So I was actually a little surprised to see this one came damaged. But I just wanted to highlight that as a sense of, you don't worry if that extremely rare occasion something does happen, the owner will make it right. So that's volume 1, as well as I don't have volume 3, or I don't have volume 2, but I got all the other volumes as well. So I'm so happy to go ahead and start the series. I read the first volume already and it was very gripping. You're following this guy who's he's a hunter of witches, and you're having this girl around with her as well. She has a curse on her from a witch, and the only way to remove that curse for them is going ahead and finding that witch who put the curse on. So it's definitely not for kids, but this is the monster hunting story I was looking for. Remind me a little bit of Claymore. So really good so far. I'm looking forward to continue reading the series. I read the first volume in one sitting. I was just so sucked into the story. Unfortunately, I gotta wait for volume 2, and hopefully that should ship soon. Now, as well as volume 1 being replaced, and I go ahead and continue letting you know about the Witch and the Beast. So that's all the manga I picked up for the month of February. In the comments below, would you let me know what did you either read or pick up for this last month? And if you'd like to see more content like this, you've not done so already, it would help so much if you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That helps others know about this community that we are trying to build together, and it means so much to me if you found any value from this content. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.